Ladies and gents, welcome back. They said Bill C-11 was not going to be about censorship. They just wanted to bring the CRTC in to regulate the internet. But now the government is pushing to have the CRTC ban what you can see in Canada, and they're pushing to ban Fox News. But before we get into that, in Ontario, many people are upset about the fact that people are trying to subject children to burlesque strip shows in the form of drag queen story hour. Now, the government is fighting back. Yeah, that's right. The government is fighting back against the people who don't want children subjected to burlesque strip shows for children. We have Ontario NDP wants to restrict protests against drag queen story times. That's right. The NDP in Ontario has picked the hill that they want to die on for this. And this is an interesting showing of individuals that they brought out for this one. The Ontario NDP introduced a bill on Tuesday to designate safety zones of 100 meters around venues where drag queens read to kids. They're really actually trying to suggest this. NDP MPP Kristen Wong's TAM's private members bill goes one step further than similar bylaw recently passed in Calgary, as it would apply to the entire province. The topic that brings us here is deadly serious, says Wong Tam. The rise of hate and violence facing the 2S LGBTQAUI plus communities. Now, if you're confused and you don't know what that means, I'll have to show you, because it's confusing. We all got used to the LGB starting the thing, but now there's 2S at the beginning of it. Well, 2S is a term, Two-Spirit. Two-Spirit is a modern pan-Indian umbrella term used by some Indigenous North Americans to describe Native people in their communities who fulfill a traditional third gender or gender variant ceremonial and social role in their cultures. The term Two-Spirit, originally chosen, was created in 1990, very traditional, at the Indigenous Lesbian and Gay International Gathering in Winnipeg, and specifically chosen to distinguish and distance Native American First Nation people from non-Native peoples. Oh, all right. So, anyway, let's just get into this. Including the drag artists happening across Ontario and right across the nation has been alarming. They're claiming so much hate is happening. If passed, the bill would allow the Attorney General to create a designated safety zone, which would prohibit protests from happening within the area. Those found violating the zone could receive a $25,000 fine. I have this from Dan Dix. What the F? On Twitter, they're doubling down with a new bill to criminalize anyone who speaks out against transgender agenda with offensive remarks, in quotes, with a penalty of $25,000 if prosecuted. Here's the clip here.
Firstly, it enables the Attorney General to create a 2S LGBTQI plus community safety zone to prohibit within 100 meters of the property any homophobic, transphobic act of intimidation, threat, offensive threats, offensive remarks, protest, disturbance, and distribution of hate propaganda within the meaning of the criminal code. It also comes with it a penalty of $25,000 if prosecuted successfully.
Oh boy. To which I replied, here, sticks and stones may break my bones, but 25 grand will ruin you. It is important to note that when you tell your friends that you're marginalized, but the government will will fine people $25,000 if they say mean words to you. But this is a trend that's moving forward here in Canada. And well, guess what? A largely government-backed and funded organization right now is calling on the CRTC to begin public consultations on the removal of Fox News from the list of non-Canadian programming authorized for distribution in Canada. And what is this on behalf of? This is on behalf of the 2S LGBTQI plus, plus meaning many, many more. There's more to come. Community. Open letter for the CRTC to hold a public consultation on Fox News in Canada. Now, the CRTC is what is being told that under Bill C-11 will regulate the internet as well. So this will be broad and far-reaching. This from the Post Millennial. Trans group demands that Fox News news be removed from Canadian TV. Egale Canada, an organization for the, you guessed it, 2S LGBTQI, they forgot plus, people and issues, released a statement calling on Canada's regulators, the CRTC, to begin public consultations on the removal of Fox News from the list of non-Canadian programming authorized for distribution in Canada. The group is moving to essentially ban Fox News in Canada after host Tucker Carlson featured the group on his program. An open letter from the group states the coverage aimed to provoke hatred and violence against the 2S LGBTQI communities, particularly those who are two-spirit, trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming. Well, we can read the statement here. It's the open letter. Egale Canada calls on the the CRTC to hold a public consultation on the broadcasting of American Fox News channel in Canada. This is an open call to ban the programming. This programming is in clear violation of Canadian broadcasting standards and has no place on Canadian broadcasting networks. Carlson made false and horrifying claims about 2S. And anyway, wow, they even misspelled their own acronym. That's amazing. Oh, wow. Okay. Painting them as violent and dangerous. Well, there was violence and danger. I mean, there was the event for vengeance. Goodness. Wow, this is crazy. During the segment, Carlson made the inflammatory and false claim that trans people are targeting Christians. That happened. The position, trans people in existential opposition to Christianity, and is an incitement of violence against trans people. That is not what it was. That is plain to any viewer. Well, it's only to these people. The segment also contained a range of other malicious information about the acronym that they, copy and pasted their own typo. People included that trans people are given preferential treatment in employment and other opportunities. This is clearly an attempt to stroke resentment against the acronym that they copy and pasted here. People. Furthermore, Egale's name and logo were used in connection with our recent open letter, which noted an exponential rise in hate-fueled movements and protests. Carlson stated that it is a lie. This is not. This is a whole thing about free speech. You're allowed to say things, and you're allowed to make claims. You just can't slander. So they're not arguing slander here. They're just arguing for censorship. Lies and hateful propaganda are not news programming. Well, you believe that it's not true, but many people would disagree with you. The list of non-Canadian programming services and stations authorized for distribution in Canada is administered by the Canadian Radio, Television, and Telecommunications Commission. The CRTC is responsible for all aspects of Canadian broadcasting system, including ensuring that it serves the public interest. Though the CRTC does not issue licenses to non-Canadian broadcasters, it has established that non-Canadian broadcasters must be held to the same standard as Canadian channels. Now, if this makes you nervous about what might be shown on TV, this ought to make you nervous about what's going on with Bill C-11. They're talking about using the same power to filter what you're allowed to see on the internet. This might get crazy. Now, I know a lot of people here don't use the television anymore, and it's largely due to how crappy it is because of these standards that are put in place here. Now, they're making the claim that the CRTC ought to be doing this, given the rising level of anti-trans hate around the world and the potential segments like the one recently aired on Fox News. There needs to be a serious Canadian conversation about the broadcasting of Fox News on Canada. No, there needs to be a serious conversation about this conversation, not about Fox News or any other thing that's happening around the world. If there's a big movement of people moving against your particular group around the world, perhaps maybe it's your group that might be the problem. Andy Lee posting on Twitter to just push out just how tight this group is with the government. Activist organization, which is partially funded by taxpayers, is partnered with the government of Canada, calls for the removal of Fox News from Canadian television broadcasting. Are we awake yet? And again, here's Élie on here putting out there, that's quite the list of partners, yes. And the partners of this group, Egale, Egale, the government partners are the Department of Justice, Department of Women and Gender Equality, Global Affairs Canada, Health Canada, Ontario Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services, Public Health Agency of Canada, which was in charge of the ArriveCan app. I mean, wow. The World Bank, holy cow, they're right in on this, and the Canadian Institute for Health Research. But hey, that sounds like a government agency lobbying a government agency to remove news from the airwaves. If you ask me, that sounds like censorship, in my opinion. And this is a dark day for Canada if that actually gets pushed through. And mark my words, once Bill C-11 becomes law here in Canada, they'll be pushing for similar type things on the internet broadly. Get used to it if this is the kind of Canada that you want to see in the future. If you don't, maybe write a letter to somebody. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.